The Bhagavad-Gita, chapter 4. Lord Krishna said, I had imparted knowledge about this traditional yoga to Sun Lord Surya. He had communicated the same to his son Vaishvasvat Manu, who in turn informed his son King Ikshvaku. Paratampa Arjun, in this manner descending from the old traditions, this yoga became known to the kings and pandits. But after that, for a long time, this yoga had gone into oblivion and vanished from this earth. You are my disciple, my devotee, and my dear friend. Therefore, today I have explained the same yoga to you. This yoga is deep wisdom and a subject of great rarity. Arjun, my lord, you have just been born, but Surya's birth dates ages ago, when the cosmos just began. In this case, how should I accept that you had explained this yoga to Surya? The Lord said, Paratampa Arjun, you and I both had many births earlier. You do not know about these, but I know. Even though I am beyond the cycle of birth or death, and even though I am creator of all beings, I take form and appear in the world from time to time. Bharat, whenever religion suffers setback and sins excel, I assume the form of a living being and come to the rescue of Arjun. My birth and my deeds are divine. They are pure and transcendental. The person who understands and realizes this truth does not take birth after death. Instead, he assumes my form and becomes a part of me. In the past, many such persons who desired envies had been killed and who were always devout towards me and had full faith in me were purified with wisdom, and they had attained me, my form. Arjun, whichever way my devotees worship me, I reciprocate accordingly. Because as I said earlier, people follow path laid down by me. In this world, people who are keen to secure the results of their deed, they worship lesser gods, family deities. Because of in this worship, they are able to ensure achievement of their objective. Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra, these four classes have been created by me according to gunas and the duties. Duties, what they have to perform, what they have to do, not by birth. In the olden times, forefathers also understood the reality and carried on with their objectives. I hold no desire or longing for the result of my duty. Therefore, my duty does not cause any involvement, any kind of involvement. What is action and what is inaction? Even the enlightened and the people of wisdom get confused to determine this question. Therefore, I'll explain to you the basic nature of action, understanding which you will be freed from attachment of action and impurity of mind. It is necessary to understand the features of action as well as inaction, because often the result of action has far-reaching effects. The person who can observe inaction in action and action in inaction is wise among people. And he is a yogi who performs his duties well. One who follows his duty according to Shastras and whose actions are not motivated by desire or a cause in view, and whose actions are purified by fire of wisdom, is called a Pandit, a learned person, even by the great sages. The person who has no attachment in deeds or the results thereof, and is free from worldly matters, and is fully satisfied with his involvement in God, he may get involved in any kind of action, but his action remain free from attachment. The person who has conquered his self, his senses and his body, and who has given up all objects of worldly pleasures, such a person, without his dependence on hopes of any kind, can carry out his normal duties and perform his work with the help of his body, and yet remain free from sin of any kind. He accepts whatever is received with satisfaction because he does not desire or go after his desires. The person who has freed himself of envy or jealousy and who transcends the effects of pleasure and pain remains calm and composed in success or failure. Such a person remains free from attachment even when involved in any kind of work. The person who has killed all kinds of attachment and is free from affliction of affection, who has conquered his personal ego, whose mind is always engaged in the wisdom of God, for such a person, actions are directed only towards betterment of humanity. All his action get merged for good of humanity, general good. In the yajna, devotional service for good cause, where offerings become a form of godliness, where the materials used for divine offerings to fire achieve similar status, for such a saint, the results of his actions too carry the greatness of God. Some yogic practitioners perform yajna in the form of their worship to gods. Some others find fire of Havan no less than the form of Almighty Himself and carry out the Havan, realizing their own self, and find incomparable Almighty in the process. Others perform Havan in the form of controlling all their senses and sense objects. The process of control itself becomes sacred fire. Others practice control on the words that they speak. Again, this process too is a kind of Havan. There are others who are able to control all actions of their senses and, enlightened by the sacred wisdom, perform Havan through all their actions of mind and self-control. Many people carry out yajna with material objects, while some others carry out yajna in the form of deep meditation. There are still others who perform yajna by virtue of carrying out their duties in a selfless manner. And still there are some more who follow the principle of ahimsa, and there are others who keep fasts and perform yajna in the form of self-study and self-control. There are many others who perform yajna, devotional service for good cause, through pranayams, the process of restraining breath, interacting with apan vayu, and there are others who reverse this process. Some others continuously control their intake of food and are able to hold the movement of pran through pranayam. All these sadhaks, devotees, perform their yajna. They kill their own sins and thus are known for the knowledge of yajna. Kurukshetra, Arjun, those who experience the nectar of remains of a yajna realize and merge with the omnipresent Almighty. And the people who do not engage themselves in any form of yajna cannot be happy even in this world. So how can they be happy and achieve peace after death? This and many other types of yajnas are described in detail in our Vedas. You must consider these yajnas worthy of performance through mind, senses, and the body. Once you understand the core subject of yajna and practice these to the best of your ability, you will achieve freedom from ill effects of your actions or will rise above the petty pleasures of your actions. Arjun, as compared to yajna performed with material objects that carry with wisdom, is far superior. Besides, all kinds of duties with the achievement of wisdom is far superior. You should learn wisdom from sages who have acquired it through their continuous efforts. You must humbly greet them and serve them with devotion. Ask them politely questions that arise in your mind without any disrespect. Those knowledgeable sages who have realized the Almighty will give you suitable advice. Once you understand their advice, you will no longer get into fit of attachment and emotions and will first see yourself in the proper perspective, then realize me, the Almighty. Even if you are a sinner of sinners, you will, with the help of boat incarnated by wisdom, will cross over the sea of sins. All your sins will die out. Because Arjun, just as the raging fire burns the whole of the fuel, the fire of wisdom burns away all the actions and effects thereof. In this world, there is no purifier as good as wisdom. And in fact, this wisdom comes to one automatically who continues practice of Karam Yoga. And that too for a long time consistently. He carries on performing his duties without expectation or without any attachment. The one who conquers his own self and has a quest for knowledge and is a devoted human being achieves wisdom. Thereafter he achieves peace in the shape of realization of God sooner than later. And the person who is full of suspicion, lacks devotion and discretion, destroys himself without doubt. There is no place for such a person in this world or the next. Besides, he can never be happy. Dhananjay, the person who has dedicated all his actions to the Almighty through the procedures of Karam Yoga, action in devotional service, and destroyed all his suspicions, none of his actions can ever cause ill effects. You must kill the suspicion of your mind that has born out of ignorance with the sword of wisdom and get settled and get ready to fight the battle.